unintentionally we're almost taught that we need external things and that external influences are important for shaping us. So you have to go to university, like that's an external thing because that will allow you to become the best version of you. It's not, hey, you are good enough right now, you just have to invest in yourself. Like, I know that's a really weird way of looking at it.
I'll go a little further on that, and because I think I get where you're going.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost as if university is that puzzle piece like Cameron's talking about that somebody is taking from themselves and giving to you.
Yeah.
Instead of it being phrased as, hey, you have all of these skills in you, you go to university so that this skill that is already in you, not one that you're acquiring, but that is already in you, is being fully developed. Right? There's a difference in development and acquisition. I think everybody lives their life inside of acquisition instead of inside of development.
That's a really good way of framing this, development versus acquisition.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the All In Podcast, Thursday Thoughts edition. As always, brought to you by our good friends at Cured Nutrition, Fit Aid, Iron 3 formulations, and First Form. Guys, it is shredding season. If you haven't already, please make sure you go sign up. If you are a client of Iron 3, it is completely free. If you're not, it's just a $25 entry fee to come win $1,000 cash of my money. But let's be honest, I'm going to win, so I'll be keeping my money. Anyway, moving forward to Thursday Thoughts. Guys, it was a really good one today. Last time, Teddy and Cameron brought me a thought, threw me a curveball on the air live, and I reacted to it. And so today I kind of just reciprocated. I brought a thought, something that actually triggered me this morning, and actually really proud of myself for the ability to be able just to process it. And I think that what you'll hear in this Thursday Thoughts podcast is how we all take moments like that, process them, and pay them forward. So, guys, as always, get your notepad, take some notes, implement them immediately, and have an amazing week. We'll talk to you soon. Even around 300 meters left, you're just like,
that's a good mental test. A 500 meter is a really good mental test because there's no excuse for not really pushing and just like going
it's not gonna last. It's not gonna last more than 90 seconds. So you just got to get in the pain cave and be really comfortable.
That's why we should get some machines in the office. We should like test everyone to see.
No, I mean it definitely over time it'd be fun for us to have stuff in here.
Yeah, for sure.
We have to have the assault bike. I mean that's what we've been saying for.
Shiny
object boards. No. See that this is happening.
Hey, if you like that idea, you go pay the calories, pay the man.
Yeah, you go pay the
piper.
Man.
Everyone will be walking around all week with jelly legs. God damn.
Yeah, when I saw that text from Michael, I was like, oh, he wants to be like 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, sprint burst, right? It's first day testing out. And then he went into explanation. No, that's your warm up. He said, I need you after that to rest for a few, and then you're going straight to your 10 minutes of hell. And I was like, you realize the most cardio I've done in the past 2 years is basketball twice.
Literally twice.
Which has been like half court 4-on-4.
Wasn't that the other day too?
Yeah. And I'm like dying after that, let alone doing 10 minutes straight of calories. So Michael, if you're listening, thanks a lot, bud. You're a real winner.
You're a real good programmer, sir.
You can't hate Michael for it though.
No, I love it. I told him going into this, I was like, I'm mentally ready, physically. I've been pretty low on calories, so that was like our first goal was to start stacking some calories going into this. But
dude, that was noticeable at the Starbucks yesterday when you failed to open the door. The deficit was already kicking in.
What happened?
You just couldn't open the door, like it was just a push.
Man. Door a little heavy for you?
And I just said, like, automatically, like, low calories.
My defense, it's a big door, all right?
Okay.
I was like, I am not with this guy. We just work together. Like, I do not hang out with him.
He just gave me a free ride. That's all.
That's pretty funny. Hey, this is my Uber driver. I'm buying him coffee.
Speaking of low calories, how does it feel to already be disqualified from shredding season, Cameron?
I've been getting so much shit from everybody, and it's just, you know what, all angles. Granted, I deserve it. I like talking shit. I'm not gonna lie. I've been talking shit to you for like 3 weeks now.
He's not actually disqualified.
Well, I didn't. Yeah. Apparently, I didn't take the picture from.
Yeah, he didn't do it.
Both disqualified. If we're playing by the rules, you're both disqualified.
Apparently, I didn't do the whole date thing, but I'm pretty sure everybody will know it's my before picture.
Yeah.
So
I don't think you're gonna cheat your own competition. I like to hope not.
Everybody's just been giving me shit.
Well, I mean, this is like, it's shredding season, but it's really become shit talk season. So
That's what will keep it fun and keep
I
us all
I hope
accountable.
the girls are ready, right, for that, because like as guys, that's just intuitive. It's just it comes out of our mouth and we
Yeah.
don't even mean
Right.
it sometimes. And like sometimes I'll say something, the girls just look at me like sideways, and I'm like, oh, that's
We're just
me
kidding.
just
Yeah.
shit talking.
That's
Yeah.
what makes actual competition fun. Like that's innate within
I
us.
agree.
And like when one person suddenly takes it like really personally, and you're just like, oh, this just got really awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then you, as a guy, you turn it up a notch. Like as soon as you see someone start to be like, oh, you're
Weakness.
like,
Yeah, then you jump all in.
yeah, you're
And you
just
pounce.
all over it.
Dude, speaking of shredding season, how you feeling, Jason, going into it? Like day one was yesterday.
Yeah, I feel good, man. I think that I was telling someone yesterday, it's nice to feel motivated because if I'm being honest, I'm still not super motivated to get to the gym. Like I'm motivated around the whole 12-week process and creating an awesome result. But if I'm being like completely transparent, I found myself yesterday like even though it was like day one, I wasn't like, oh, I'm so excited to go to the gym and train. And when I was in the gym, it was just kind of like the same attitude. Like there's a little bit of malaise around it, and it's just like I'm kind of going through the motions, not really doing anything crazy. And but I think it's really important. Actually, I'm having Carrie Northington, she's local here in Phoenix, come to the office next week to record an in-person podcast. And
Cool.
she made a post this morning, and it literally talks about like her doing a show. And she's like, I kept telling myself I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to do it because I wasn't motivated. And then finally I just did it anyway.
Yeah.
And she's like, honestly, I'm not sure the motivation ever would have come. She's like, so I'm really glad I did it.
Yeah.
And it really resonated with me because I'm super excited about the journey. I think that life is in a place now where I really can undertake it. But I'd be lying if I said I was 100% motivated. And I think that a lot of people need to hear that because I think a lot of people expect like us to just have these perfect attitudes and to always be excited. And it's just not the case, man. Like there's far more important things that go on in the day that excite me more than getting really ripped. Like it's just, maybe I'm not the vain person I was like in my 20s, but it just, but I'm excited to win. So
Wait.
I'm excited to prove all the little shit talkers wrong. And I said it at our team summit. I said, you motherfuckers forget who you learned from, and I'm about to set the record straight.
That's
So
funny.
I've forgotten more than most of them
That
will
just
ever
went
know.
0 to 100. I was like, that's
So-
really cool.
Every
You're being
time he's
so like,
been-
but I'm excited to win.
Yeah.
Every time he's been going on Instagram Live, I see it pop up on my app,
And then he
then
comes in and talks shit.
I just go in and say you're gonna lose, and then get off.
Maybe that's what
I think Michael sent us a group text and it said, guys, I hope that you're ready. I'm writing my first book, How I Won Shredding Season.
I
forgot
like
about
that.
that.
And I wrote him back and I was like, man, you're starting as a fiction author, huh? Like that's pretty shitty.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, man, that's where we're at. There's definitely a lot of shit talk here, and I think that it's making it really fun.
Yeah.
I think that in years past it was very dependent on, just because of where we were, it was very dependent on me. And I think this year it's really fun to have a lot of people engaged, and I think it keeps the excitement, it keeps the engagement, and I think it's gonna be a fun 12 weeks, man. I think like
Yeah.
we're all gonna learn things about each other and ourselves, and I think more than anything, like just being willing to push through a process that will inherently become difficult, man. Like let's be honest, like 4 weeks left, calories are gonna start to get low, and we're gonna all have to fight through. And it's also cool, like the entrepreneur side of me is it's like I get to watch and be like, okay, like we've systemized the business in a manner that it shouldn't be affected by my personal output as much. And so we're going to put it to the fire and we're going to find out if it really worked.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, those are the parts that really excite me. I would love to get my like training motivation back. I'm not really sure where that lacks, to be fair. But maybe it'll come back. Maybe it won't.
Well, we have
It's-
some cool ideas, which hopefully we can, stick to. And I think training's going to get a lot more fun and maybe
For
like
sure.
a lot more diverse, and
Yeah.
we'll change it up and like just learn to have fun with it again.
Yeah,
I
and
think-
I really think that's what this journey is for me. Is it's like learning to have fun with everything again, and we're all gonna lie and say like we're not putting too much emphasis on it. Of course we are. I mean, like in the whole grand scheme of things, like triangle of awareness, like there's zero fucks about aesthetics. To be fair, like
Yeah.
most of my life is spent more towards like the longevity. Like I just need to feel good and operate at like a high level. Of course I care about like I don't want to go get pinned under like a 225 bench, but like. I still
I
want
would love to get pinned under a 225.
like I still want to be able to push, good weights, and I still want to be able to squat and deadlift heavy. But
Yeah.
and obviously like there's always some vanity involved with everything we do. So so the actual directive of it is probably not what we should be undertaking, but fuck it. It's for 12 weeks. Like, it's going to be a good time.
I'm excited. And like, one of the takeaways I took, have you listened to the Joe Rogan, Aubrey Marcus podcast yet?
I have not.
So one of the takeaways I took, like one of the bits I really like, because I'm in this mode of like taking sound bites out of podcasts that really relate to me. And they were talking about how actually like directly looking for like the uncomfortable things and uncomfortable activities and just processes in your life, and then the satisfaction that comes from like, getting better through them. I feel like this is an example of that. Like,
do you really think that's possible to find the uncomfortable? Because like, as you say that, in theory, that sounds like a great thing, but the conscious mind will never allow you to choose the most uncomfortable thing.
That's interesting. I think when you get to a certain level, it will, but I think you've got to build that mindset. I would agree that naturally, the body will actually like really stop you from that most uncomfortable. It's
not necessarily the body. I agree with you there. I think it's the mind.
Yeah.
Meaning, like, if you laid out 5 things for me to potentially do, and I had to quote unquote choose the one that was most uncomfortable, would I really choose the one that was most uncomfortable, knowing that I was going to have to do it? Or would I choose the like the path of least resistance inside of this discomfort?
Yeah, I think it's a journey of development. I think as you learn more and more that those things actually like are really great things in the long term, like you get to like a higher level where you, at one point in your life, you will be able to pick the most uncomfortable thing. But I just don't think it's straight away.
One of the, like, Sal Frisella, when him and I first talked, he's like, dude, I'm doing a half Ironman. And it was like nowhere near enough time to train. And like, fortunately, like in my brain, I'm like, thank God, like I don't have to fucking do that. But I feel like he's going to hear this and like, he's going to talk me into doing it next year. And like, that is beyond uncomfortable for me. And so, but like exactly like what we're saying, I know I would get so much out of that. And like, I know if I actually trained, it would make me a better person.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I think that, like you said, it's a path of personal development. I really believe, because, to say right now that like if I chose the most uncomfortable thing and I went and did it, I actually think it would not benefit me.
No.
Right? Like let's just use the half Ironman as an example.
It would be too much.
My nervous system would be fucked.
Yeah.
Like given everything else that like we have, and I think that's just some level of intelligence, right?
Yeah.
Like David Goggins, all the crazy shit he did. I mean, dude, in that moment, he probably was not getting better on the outside, and I think he would even say that. But now, like, several years removed from going through that shit, like, look at what he's able to do.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of times, too, people go through difficult shit. They don't see the immediate ROI, and they're like, well, why did I put myself through that? Yet 3, 4, 5 years down the road, they have the ROI that they were looking for previously, and they're like, oh, shit, maybe it was worthwhile. And, like, I'll use myself. Like, anorexia. If you would have told me 18, 19 that was going to set the stage for success in my life, like, I'd have fucking told you you're crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to end my life.
That would have been so hard for you to comprehend at the time.
But here we are 16 years removed, and it's like, okay, I get it. Like, it was placed in my life. Like, that struggle was there. Same with being, broke and, like, doing all those things. Like, I think that it's hard to go through those things and not have an immediate ROI. And so I think that we always have to be willing to, and again, this goes down to just success principles in general, delayed gratification.
Yeah.
Right. And that's like I think it's the Stanford study, like the marshmallow study. It's the delayed gratification study. And very few people will ever comprehend that.
Dude, I feel like we could talk about this for 10 hours straight.
We probably could.
There's so many rabbit holes on that topic of conversation.
I'm just enjoying and soaking it in.
But it interests me.
No, it's fascinating, because I think that I always look at the advice that's given in the public from any sort of like leader, and I always like innately just want to question its feasibility and its application to like everybody. Right? And that's where it's like, well, choose your most uncomfortable thing. Can you really even do that? And I think that's like the cool part. I'm not saying that Joe Rogan and Aubrey are wrong by any means, because clearly, like, look what they've accomplished. And I mean, they're two people that I listen to and respect more than anybody. But it does. I think you have to be open to questioning things. I think far too many people look at leaders or like put them on a pedestal and like won't be willing to question it and think for themselves. And that's a problem. And that actually kind of leads into my Thursday thought.
Nice.
But that's,
which we don't know about.
Yeah, which Cam and Teddy don't know. I'm springing it on them this week.
But it's healthy to have that conversation around the original statement. Like, I agree. Like, I think it is easy for me to be like, well, they had this conversation about go and do like really uncomfortable things. And like now we're diving into that and it's like, okay, they are right, but naturally we probably wouldn't pick the most uncomfortable thing, like we said.
Right. I think if we just break this down layer by layer, I think what a lot of what they're talking about is just that's probably how they've grown, right? Like that was a big part of the podcast was just like mindset and growth and all that stuff. And being in uncomfortable situations does make you grow. It either makes you realize like, oh, you're not prepared for this and you need to change some things or grow as an individual, or, oh, wow, I was in that uncomfortable position and I did actually combat that and it actually wasn't as bad as I thought. So then you're just leveling up at that point, right? Just adding attributes to your life. And I think that's kind of what they were getting at. But I do actually think you're right, Jason, in the fact of I don't know if we will ever, without forcing ourselves, choose the most uncomfortable thing. I don't think it's human nature to do that, right?
I think,
what
I think
survival instincts would that ever be?
And that's it, right? Like we've just evolved to, part of our survival instincts, like you just said, is to avoid those really uncomfortable, difficult things.
100%. Like we built houses to keep us warm and keep us away from nature, right? We set up, tribes to make sure that we were protected forever from, other people coming in and attacking us, animals attacking us. So I don't think we'd ever really choose the hardest thing without making ourselves to. Not saying that you shouldn't every once in a while, but I mean, it's why there was agriculture, because people were like, hey, this shit sucks moving around all the time and trying to find food. Let's just grow corn. Like it's just that simple. So although I do think you should challenge yourself, like we're talking about doing something like Muay Thai, like the hell would we ever do that?
Yeah. And I mean, I want in on that. Like that just is, I love that. Like, so,
but there's levels to it. Like let's end it there. But like that's an interesting, and like that's good for me too, because I came in here like, let's look for uncomfortable things. But then it's like, you know what, you're right. Like that.
You're ready to go skydiving.
I've done skydiving, dude. That was fucking hard.
Not for me.
Oh man, I'll tell that story on a podcast another day.
Oh, please do.
That was a fun day. Although they forgot, like I'll give you like the brief synopsis. Like when you jump out of the plane, you're supposed to like tilt your chin up. Because like obviously looking straight down and like getting hit in the face with 10 million mile an hour winds is like not ideal for breathing. They didn't tell me that. And so I'm literally borderline fucking panicking in the air.
Jesus.
Like not able to breathe at all because I'm just like looking down. And like, dude, it's amazing. Like the view is super cool. And finally like the camera guy that's filming it comes in front of me and like gets me to like look at him. And I looked up at the camera and like got air and I was like, oh, this whole thing is so much better. But like
Holy
it was
crap.
literally like it was probably like the scariest like 10 to 15 seconds of my life, because
my body's not reacting well to this for some reason.
Yeah, like I wish I could recall like the thoughts that like went through, but it's like it's just panic, right? But as soon as you pull the chute and like it's such an amazing experience. But I mean, now that like we're in it, I'll tell like the full story. I mean, like we got there and I went with like this girl I dated in college, and like I was super hyped, like so excited, and like the whole time like we're on the ground and they're teaching us, she's like scared shitless and I'm like hype. And then all of a sudden we get in the air, dude, she was the first one to the door, like ready to fucking roll, and I was like the last one. I'm like, we might want to rethink this shit. Like we're in a perfectly good plane that you're gonna land, like why would I jump? But nah, man, it was a really cool experience. I'm glad I did it. And
that's awesome.
But yeah, so skydiving aside and uncomfort aside, so the Thursday thought I had was kind of stemmed from this morning. So I got anybody that saw my Instagram on this day, I don't even know what day it is, but I got a little fired up this morning. And it takes a lot to like really like get to me, but I think that like one of the things that I really try to be cognizant about is anytime we talk about things that I've learned from on this podcast, I always try to credit the person that we learned from. Right. And so people have heard me mention Garrett White quite a bit, Bedros quite a bit, like guys that I've learned from, Russell Brunson, Sam Ovens, the mentors that like we've spent money with. And like when I see people take like our exact words and our exact flow and our exact process, it's like, and then put them out as their own, it gets me. Right. Like, and there's very few things that you can do to like really get to me, to get me like fired up. But that's when I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And so this morning I said, you know what, like I had to take a step back and I had to think on it. And I said, the more we lead, the more we're going to get copied. And I guess it's just a sign that we need to continue to lead. And that's really like how I went about it. And that was the final thought process. But then I started thinking about it from the other person's point of view. And this person will likely see what I posted in the sense that I said, hey, keep following me because I'll keep leading. But they also have to then go and look in the mirror at the end of today, knowing what they did, right? Knowing that it is 100% wrong to take somebody else's content and use it as your own.
Mm-hmm.
And I started applying that across multiple domains. And I started thinking about, you always know the answers. We as people always know the answers. It's just we're looking for the validation, or we're looking for an excuse, or we're looking for a reason, right? People that are overweight, they know the answer.
Yeah.
They know they need to eat less. They know they need to do more. Yet when faced with difficult decisions, they literally they want to make an excuse. They don't leave that difficult situation and go look in the mirror and be like, well, the reason I'm fat is because I didn't know the answer. They look in the mirror and they're like, nope, I fucked up my decision making. Right? Like if you're listening and you're not making as much money, it's not that you fundamentally lack the ability to go out and make more money. 99% of the time, it's laziness. If you're lacking connection in your life, if I put a gun to your head and I was like, how do you build more connection in your life? You could probably give me 10 different ways to go about it. So the question remains, or the statement remains, we all have the fucking answers. We may not have the accountability. We may not have the journey. We all have the fucking answers.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love your thoughts on it.
So you basically saying that even though we know the answer, it's like all the life stuff that kind of clouds that?
I just think that humans search more for reasons. I said this to somebody yesterday on a mastermind call. Fundamentally, people try to build problems, right? That's who we are. Especially high level entrepreneurs. Yeah. We want to fucking put fires out, right? We want to feel validated, and so we build these problems that don't exist in our life.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are so guilty of that, right? They start and they're looking in the mirror and they're like, well, I must be diabetic, or I must have, insulin issues, or I must have thyroid issue. And it's no, you probably should stop going through the drive-through, right? And yet they want some higher level thing to blame.
Yeah.
Yet they know on the surface level, if you put a gun to their head, life is going to end in 5 minutes, and you're like, what's the real fucking problem? Well, it's the fact that you have half a bottle of Jack Daniels every night. That's the problem. And yet you ask them on a day-to-day basis where it's not that gun to the head situation, and they're like, oh, well, I don't know, my hormones must be fucked up. No, deep down in you, and everybody listening to this right now knows deep down in them what the problem is. 100% guaranteed. You sitting in front of me right now, you sitting next to me, look in the fucking mirror, and every problem that exists in your life, already why it exists.
Deep down.
I don't need to know, right? I'm not asking for you to fucking tell me. But if I go look in the mirror right now and I identify every problem in my life, I can tell you why it exists.
So is this situational awareness then? Is that what we're talking about?
People want to avoid it. People want to, they will fucking shove awareness under the rug to avoid dealing with their problems.
I mean, we've spoke about people telling stories to themselves in the past. Do you think that's the big one?
I think that people try to live more in stories instead of facts, right? They try to make up stories to not identify the facts. People don't like to. Anytime something is not what someone wants it to be, they don't really want to deal with it.
Well, they don't want to take ownership of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. They want to blame it on someone else rather than.
Ironically, I was just revisiting the level 2 this morning, and there's a chapter called dieting, what actually works, and number 2 in there is extreme ownership.
Yeah.
Right. And borrowing that title from Jocko, of course. But getting people to extremely own all of their actions. And I think that so many people are searching for solutions to problems that they don't really fucking have. They're man-made fucking problems.
Yeah.
No, motherfucker. You know the shit you really need to address, yet you don't want to address it. So you're spending time searching for answers to other problems that will never fix the root fucking problem.
I mean, I'll relate this to my own experiences. Whenever I've not been feeling 100% within myself, it's taken help from other people, or it's taken me to really think and be like, what are the reasons why I don't feel the happiest version or the best version of myself right now?
Yep.
And like every time I've been able to find the proper answer to that, it's all been on me.
Well,
you know?
and that was the next piece. When you actually start to look in the mirror, you realize it's always in you, right? Like you start, and that's why I said, the thought is you have the answers. You already know the answers, and everybody already knows the answers. Like if I went through every issue I had in my life, like it all comes back to me, right? 100%.
Yeah, no, and I love this topic, and it was actually something. You remember when we went to Outlet's suit shopping?
Anchorman quote.
But I had saw a coach I had studied under before. And before I say this, like his post was actually really good, but it was the picture that I had a problem with, and the picture was basically of a teacher, right? And they were handing a puzzle piece over to the person who like had a piece missing, right? So it was like they were giving this person the missing pieces, and the point of the picture was the sensei or the master had a bunch of pieces taken out, and it was basically captioning saying that you'll never actually understand what a real coach is, right? Or what a real coach does, because you only see them helping you and not like everything that's been taken from them.
Sure.
Understand that. Great. The problem I had with it is exactly what we're saying here, thinking that somebody else has that missing piece that's going to then insert it into you, and then you're going to transform like Iron Man, #Avengers, and then you're going to become something that you were never before.
Right.
Whereas I'm seeing the whole process is a real coach takes what you already have, and they just help you see other things. They help you reshape that piece. They never had the missing piece. You had all the pieces. You just didn't have them connected the right way. And a real sensei or a real master or coach actually comes in and that they teach you actually with what you have, this is probably what works the best. And then, of course, you level up, you get new coaches and keep going higher and higher. But it's just the whole idea of the missing piece just makes me just infuriated at times, just because it goes back to exactly what we're saying here.
Well,
it's all on you.
I think so many people are doing exactly what you just described. They're searching for that missing piece, and the piece isn't missing. It's missing awareness. Like all you lack is the awareness, because it's there, right? It's like you dump out 1,000-piece puzzle, right? And
puzzles, by the
you
way.
put it. What's that?
I love puzzles.
Love a good
Puzzles
puzzle.
are great, but you dump out 1,000 pieces, and all of a sudden you're trying to put the corners together, and yet you can't find the corner. It's probably just hidden under one of the other pieces, or maybe it fell off the table that you're using. It's there. It came in the box. They didn't short you the fucking 1,000th puzzle piece.
But your mind automatically thinks,
But
hey,
your mind is like, they fucked up. They only
Yeah.
gave me 999 pieces, and
That's
the
so
one
true.
fucking piece I need to begin, I don't have. Now, the truth is, even if they shorted you, you could finish the goddamn puzzle without that one piece and then be like, look, they shorted me one piece. But instead, you want to fucking take all of your like frustration and focus to the one minute problem that you're identifying that really was never a problem, because it just fell off the table and it was under the fucking table. You just didn't want to take the time to find it. You wanted something to blame for a difficult situation.
Yeah.
And so we as people, we get into these difficult situations and we immediately start trying to find something to blame. And so we start making up stories, and we start talking about, well, so-and-so did me wrong, or I come from a family that's overweight, or
And that was the
I'm
reason.
pre-diabetic, or so-and-so posted a fucking Instagram graphic that says my thyroid's fucked up.
Yeah.
And like, then you stop looking in the mirror and you stop owning it. And I don't understand, as a society when we stop owning ourselves.
I think it's
and
an
our
environment
actions.
thing. Like I was just thinking, as like Cameron was talking, then I was like, when I think back to growing up, I think unintentionally we're almost taught that we need external things, and that external influences are important for shaping us. So you have to go to university, like that's an external thing, because that will allow you to become the best version of you. It's not, hey, you are good enough right now, you just have to invest in yourself. Like, I know that's a really weird way of looking at it.
I'll go a little further on that, and because I think I get where you're going.
Yeah.
Is like, it's almost as if university is that puzzle piece like Cameron's talking about,
Yeah.
that somebody is taking from themselves and giving to you.
Yeah.
Instead of it being phrased as, hey, you have all of these skills in you, you go to university so that this skill that is already in you,
Yeah.
not one that you're acquiring, but that is already in you, is being fully developed. Right? There's a difference in development and acquisition. I think everybody lives their life inside of acquisition,
Yeah.
instead of inside of development.
That's a really good way of framing this: development versus acquisition.
And I think so many people need to start looking for development, because Dude, fundamentally, I am not a different person today at 34 years of age than I was at 19, right? I am just way more developed in my thoughts.
And you've molded yourself
100%.
into the
But
man you are today.
it's just like I've never looked for new things. I wasn't trying to become something different, right? I just continued to try to be better, taking what is already there. I mean, if you would have asked me to public speak when I was 18, I would have sucked, right? I didn't get a new voice. I didn't get a new stage presence. I didn't get new nerves. I didn't get, new eyes. Like, I didn't get any of that. I just developed what was already there. Like, there was already power there. There was somebody inside of me that was willing to connect. I just took that and said, okay, I'm going to develop this skill set.
Yeah.
Right? Now, does that come from potentially, like, learning new things? Absolutely. Right? Like, I had to empower myself. But fundamentally, I always had to believe it was there.
Yeah.
And I think so many people are turning their eyes to it, saying, well, it's not there. I need to go find it. Like, no, motherfucker, it's there.
And I think the biggest key and the way to simplify all of this is, like, as you guys are speaking again, like, 3 words popped into my head, and it's "you are enough."
Yeah,
Oh, you stole it.
Yeah, and like, because like for whatever reason that was coming in, and then that goes on to, and like this is something I've been big on at the moment. And it's something that's really, like, Cameron, you said last week that you felt leveled up over the last couple of weeks, and I said I also feel the same. And a big factor of that for me is self-love, because I am enough, because I have already acquired what I have. I just need to learn to develop it further, and that's what allows us to level up. We already have it.
Yep.
So
100%.
everyone listening right now, like, you already have what you need
Yeah.
to be successful. It's just going to take life. It's going to take lessons. It's going to take you loving yourself more and believing in yourself, and it's fucking powerful.
And here's the thing, and this is what everybody needs to understand. So turn up your fucking radio or your podcast or the fuck you're listening to it.
We're in
like,
the 90s.
like, you need to understand the following. Like, in this moment, you already have all the answers. Like, what we're saying right now is true. Whether you want to like it or not, that's a decision you have to make. And you can dislike it all you want. That's okay. Like, there's lots of ways to dislike facts. The reality is right now, everybody knows. Because, like, when I said it earlier, I'm like, you already know why all the bullshit in your life is happening. Like, we do. We don't want to acknowledge it, but we do. And so everybody that's listening right now is like, fuck. They're right. And that's scary.
Yeah.
That's scary for so many people. Because, like, the scariest thing, like, we say people avoid their own power. Like, it's true. People are so scared to acknowledge that they have the ability to create change. In fact, it's that realization that most people avoid, because then they have something to blame other than themselves. How many people love to be like, yep, it's my fault? Nobody.
No.
Right? Like, we always avoid that shit.
Yeah.
Yet the most successful people in the world are the ones that will take it on the chin every single time. They want to blame themselves. Like, fair play to Conor McGregor. Like, Conor lost to Khabib. He didn't blame anybody.
No.
He didn't blame the situation. He said, I wasn't prepared. Like,
He
whether
almost
you love him or hate him, like, it was the right statement.
He came across happy about it,
Yeah.
which is a champion's mindset.
100%.
He's like, good, lessons learned.
Yeah.
I'm ready now. I'm going to be
Yeah.
better.
And that's how it was to Nate, right? Like, when he lost to Nate and he came back better the second time. He's like, I learned. And I think that, like you said, that is championship mindset.
Yeah.
I love that. Like, that's a great way to frame it, because I think that anyone that's listening to this right now, if you're not experiencing levels of success that you desire, look yourself in the mirror. You already know why. You don't need me to get on a phone call with you and tell you why. You already fucking know. You don't need me to validate you with more thoughts. You don't need me to give you more fucking actions. If you want me to hold you accountable to it, that's a whole nother thing. Great, I get it. It's difficult to remain accountable. I think we should all have accountability in our lives. That's why I have coaches for every facet of my life. But if you think I have some magical plan that you already couldn't identify, you're fucking wrong. And any coach that panders to you, that says they have some magical plan that you can't identify, fuck them. They're not a real coach.
Yeah.
Like, that is the antithesis of coaching. That is bullshit. It is media, marketing, propaganda, and is not in any way true.
Because I would, I mean, what you're really saying is a coach is there for accountability and to just have the experience and know how to know when you're kind of going off your track, and just be like, hey, like, let's just move it back in a little bit. I've been there. I understand where you're at right now. and this is why I'm just going to bring you back onto this.
Not
Well-
even just that, though. I mean, just the bigger picture, right? The bigger picture to keep you on course. I mean, I have calls with every day, and people are like, well, what does your coach do for? Well, it is 100% accountability. Like, that's the big thing. But then on top of that, you've got to get out of your own head, whether you have none of the knowledge or all the knowledge in the world, right? You still need somebody basically checking you and making sure that you're not second guessing yourself, that you're actually enjoying the process, and that overall you're fulfilling what you set out to do, right? So, I mean, it does sort of tie back into accountability, but it's just overall, at that point, you just got to be reminded of the bigger picture, because if not, you're going to get caught in the day-to-day stuff, the week-to-week stuff, and then it's always easy to go back to diet. Someone, wants to shred, and then they start stacking their calories, they gain a few pounds, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, that wasn't working, back to a deficit, and then nothing's changing, nothing happens, because you just don't give yourself enough time at that point.
Yeah.
I also think that people, when they seek out a coach, like, and I say it all the time, we can lead you, we can't save you, right? Like, that's, and I get that line from Garrett, but I think people are looking for a savior. They're not looking for a leader. A leader inspires you to take the appropriate action.
Yeah.
Right? And they inform you on day one, like in the military, right? The person leading your squadron or whatever, like, they inspire you and they tell you the things to be doing. They do not do them for you.
No.
Nobody, nobody fucking hikes for you. Nobody fucking shoots the gun for you. Nobody does any of that shit for you. They just lead you into the right actions.
Yeah.
They don't save you. Everyone that's out there right now is looking for a savior from their own actions. But that's the part that everyone's missing. You're looking for a savior from your own motherfucking actions. You wouldn't need a fucking savior if you cleaned your shit up. If you simply became a better version of yourself, you would get better in every aspect of life.
Yeah.
And you know this. This is the part that I just want to hammer home all day. You already fucking know this. Yet you've been turning a blind eye to it for how long? And anyone that's in unhappiness right now, in discontent, not where they want to be. Doesn't even have to be unhappiness. You can be happy. But you have goals, and you haven't achieved the levels that you desire inside of these goals.
Yeah.
You already know why. There's not some magical missing link that you're in search of. You just don't want to fucking do the work.
You don't
and
want to take
instead you
control.
tell stories that you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Yet if we all put ourselves in that extreme circumstance, gun to the head, right? Family kidnap, whatever it is, we put ourselves in these crazy circumstances, all of a sudden everybody could identify exactly what it is that needs to be changed.
I'm going to say something and probably piss people off, but
Oh.
it goes back to the the culture code. I've said it only 1,000 times on this.
I think you like that book, dude.
No, but it's just so true, because the American culture is an adolescent culture. So we tell people to grow up or own it. That's not what a kid does. It's not an adolescent, right? That's not what they do. They blame other things. Their game breaks, or they're, I mean, it's not so much anymore, but I remember back in the day with Nintendo and Sega, right? You had to blow in the disc and then eventually you just threw it because you're so pissed off.
I remember those days.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's what an adolescent does. What I would run instantly to my mom or my dad, hey, fix this. They would just take the time, they would fix it, and it'd be done, right? Because that's what an adult does. But most people, most Americans are in that adolescent mindset. They want instant gratification.
Yeah.
They don't want to struggle. They don't.
Well,
and they're not
let's
gonna
use
go
the
through
video.
that.
Let's use the video game analogy. How many times when you were young, when you lost at a video game, did you utter the words, "The game's cheating"?
Every time.
Every fucking
Every
time.
time.
Every time I said that shit.
Yep.
The fucking game's cheating. No, I just wasn't good enough. Period. The end. It wasn't the game. It wasn't designed to outsmart me. I simply did not have the skills at whatever age I was while playing Nintendo. Yes, I'm that old. With the cartridges that I had to blow in. I did not have the skills to beat Bowser at the end of Mario.
So hard. So
it
hard.
was. And
I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
Teddy's like, what are you fucking talking about? We just dated ourselves. But seriously, we're taught that shit from a young age. And I mean, the truth is, I don't know how to correct it in society. And I mean, like I said, this awareness piece just came to me this morning because, again, everything you're doing wrong in your life, right away. Right? This all comes back to someone that I feel is and it's not just one person. There's multiple people that are doing it, but stealing our shit. And that's fine. Like, it's not for me to get upset about.
No.
It really isn't.
No.
It obviously triggered me today, and I'd be lying if I didn't acknowledge that.
Yeah.
But it's really not for me to get upset about.
No.
I just got to stay in my lane. But that person and that group of people, they know that, like, when they steal your shit, like, they know right then and there that it's wrong.
Yeah.
And that's all I need, right? And when you're doing something right away that you inherently know is not in line with your goals, you already know.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need me to identify it for you. You don't need me to shout it out. You don't need anybody to fucking tell you. You're the one that has to live with it in that moment. When presented with 2 quality food choices and 1 shit food choice, and you choose the shit food choice, you know it's wrong. Nobody has to tell you. And that's what I think we all have to start coming to accept.
Yeah, that's a prime example of what you're doing there, though, dude. Like, you're taking control. Like, you're not
That's it.
allowing like that to potentially ruin your day, to mess with your emotions. And like maybe the Jason from 10 years ago, like something like that.
Oh, I probably would have fucking like called the person out and like messaged them and been like,
dude.
you motherfucker. Yeah. And like, yeah, it would have probably ruined my day.
And in no way it would have served you any benefit. But like the Jason of them might have been like, yeah, but I fucking told him, so that's cool. But like you wouldn't have realized, well, you probably just made yourself a lot more stressed. Your workout was probably shitty because of it. You didn't get as much work done that day. But like now, because you've leveled up and you're taking control and you know that you are enough, like nothing else matters.
Yeah. But if you go from Gary Vee, I mean, Gary Vee says when people start stealing your shit, you win.
Yeah.
Like he says that all the time.
Yeah.
He's like, when
and here's the
people start
beauty,
doing
right?
it.
Like that was actually, and I know Gary Vee says it, but it's not like where my head went this morning, is like I looked at it and I'm like, all right, what's cool about it is this. I've built a message that I believe is so powerful. Mm-hmm. Clearly another person thought it was powerful enough to steal it. And they're literally taking the thoughts in my head that, let's just say I could only reach on Instagram 16,000 people. Mm-hmm. This person, I don't even know how many followers they have, but they're reaching their following. So now my message, instead of only reaching 16,000 people, is reaching 25,000 people.
Ripple effect.
Right? Which, listen, if it's not coming from my mouth, it doesn't matter. It's the idea and the principle that's getting out there. And at the end of the day, I'm going to fucking triple down on the message that impact over income. Great. If you want to go out and you want to spread my words and you don't want to credit me, that's on you. Right? And that's 100% up to you, and that's okay. Still love you for it, and I respect the fact that we all get lost in life. But if you're going to spread the message, like, good on you, because I believe the messages that we're putting out need to be spread. And that's the final note on it, man. Like, I feel like that's a great place for us to end this, because literally every single thing that people can look at as a problem in their life, if they reframe it and they understood it a little bit better and they actually understood that they are in control, like you said, they take control of the situation, everything gets better. And so I will finish by saying what was once a trigger this morning about people stealing my shit has actually become a positive when I look at it through the lens of people are promoting my shit.
And it also gave us a great podcast episode.
So we'll take it. Guys, Thursday Thoughts. We'll talk to you next week.
See ya. Bye.